So I'm Liza. Um, I'm going to just give like a very quick understanding. As you know, we talk about these things called panic and anxiety and trying to calm ourselves down, and that's all very fine and well, wonderful. But what on earth is panic? What on earth is anxiety? And how do we calm it down? So I want to just give you like a brief introduction about what is actually happening to us, and then we can figure out how to manage our kids, and we actually know also what's going on with us. So the first thing I want to say is that we can actually just be like total human beings here and say, this is a crazy situation. It's insane and it's not normal. No, there's nothing normal about war. I was actually, just before I came on this call, I was doing some work at Matan. They ran a group for moms and babies whose husbands have been sent off to war. So I was busy doing like a trauma group with a bunch of moms. And as all these mothers who have left their kids in the next room playing with a madricha for the first time in, 4 days, as these moms are all starting to cry, the siren went off. And so we actually have to just first acknowledge that this is a totally abnormal situation. And the number one rule with an abnormal situation is that any reaction I have is completely normal. If I'm scared, if I'm overwhelmed, if I'm anxious, if I'm crying, if I'm angry, any reaction to abnormal is normal. That's the first rule. And our kids need to hear it, and we need to hear it. Whatever I'm feeling is fine. The second thing I want to do is I actually want to just show you very quickly what is happening in your brain and body so that you understand what panic and what anxiety is, because that was one of the questions that I was asked to address. So imagine right over here, if you have a look at my hand, I know it's a little hard on Zoom, this is your brain, okay? This part over here, where my fingers are, is literally called the thinking part of your brain, which is right over here. It's your frontal cortex. It's where all your thoughts happen. Should I run to the shelter? Should I go under the bed? How do I feel about the war? All of that, what I think about this war and politics is all happening in this thinking part. And the next part of your brain, right here, if you can follow my thumb and wrist, is your feeling part. I feel sad, I feel scared, I feel angry, and it literally relates to this part of your brain right over here called the limbic system. And then just over here, where you can see my thumb, okay, is called the amygdala. The amygdala is like a tiny little button in the middle of your brain. And it is like an alarm in your body system that alerts you to danger and safety, as well as time and space. So right now, your amygdalas are probably not 100% calm. They're a little bit edgy because they're waiting. Maybe you find yourself jumping. Was that a sound? I went for a walk this morning with a friend, and one of those cars came zooming by, and we both went like that, right? Because our amygdala, was that a siren? Was that a car, right? Our amygdalas right now, particularly during war, are a little bit shut, but it's the part of your brain that alerts you to danger or safety, which is amazing because you want your brain to be working and telling you, is this danger or safety? If the amygdala says, oh my God, this is dangerous, it's like a system, imagine a car alarm going off and the car starts sort of shaking and the lights go off on a car, right? The same thing is happening in your body. That amygdala says, what, danger? And it's like a car alarm is shooting off and your whole body is doing this. And so what happens when the amygdala shoots off is you're going to get a massive amount of energy right inside your body. And your imagination might actually even start running a little bit wild. But straight away, what's going to happen when that amygdala shoots off is that your thinking brain is going to switch off. Because really, let's be honest, who cares what we think about politics when we're trying to figure out what to do, right? And we've got an alarm going off in our system. Your feeling brain will actually switch off. It actually won't matter, do I feel sad? Do I feel angry? Do I feel over? It just will switch off. And your amygdala is going to shoot you straight into your nervous system, which is quite literally a system of nerves that runs from your eyes, goes all the way down your back, and ends in your stomach, which is why some of you might notice when you feel anxious or nervous, you literally have butterflies in your stomach because there are nerves all around your stomach. Wonderful. Okay, everything's working. Okay. And your system is going to throw you into what you guys might have heard before already. It's called the fight, flight, or freeze system, which means, do I run? Do I run away? Let's say I'm being chased by a bear. My amygdala is going to shoot off. Who cares what I think about bears? Who cares what I feel about bears? My amygdala is going to say, do I run from the bear? My nervous system, do I run from the bear? Do I fight the bear? Or do I freeze and make like a tree? Okay. The army, for example, our boys are constantly being taught how to work with their nervous systems, right? When they would maybe want to freeze, all of their training is teaching them how to go into fight mode when they get scared, when their amygdala shoots off. And many of us right now go into flight mode. Quick, get into that mamad, and that's great. It means your brain and your nervous system are working in harmony. It's beautiful. What does tend to happen with some of us, though, is that amygdala shoots off. We hear a siren, we hear a sound, you notice your heart racing, right? You notice your imagination running wild, and that freeze becomes a little bit of what's called panic or anxiety, right? The difference between panic and anxiety is physical symptoms in your body, right? Worry is just the thoughts, anxiety is physical symptoms, and panic is like really intense physical symptoms that go on for a long period of time. Like some people, when they're having terrible panic attacks, even think they're having a heart attack, okay? But panic is really that system that threw you into a freeze that says, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Okay, the first thing I want to tell you is what do I do is a totally normal response to an abnormal situation. Being at war, I know we're all meant to be rough and tough in Israel. I've been here for 20 something years, but being at war is an abnormal situation and we are allowed to feel all the feels, okay? So should I be in a panic, what do I do situation? My brain is here. And the very first thing I want to do is get my brain back here that I can start functioning again like an integrated, conscious human being. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that getting from here back to here takes a little bit of time. I call this process a really tired toddler at a bar mitzvah. Okay, if you imagine if I took a toddler to a bar mitzvah and it's 11 o'clock at night and they've had lots of lights and lots of music and they're exhausted and now they're crying, they're having an epic breakdown, okay? And I start yelling at that toddler, just be quiet, it's not really going to work, right? And what I need to do is I need to pick that baby up and give it a hug, really hold its body. That's why hugging children is so effective because it calms, remember all those nerves? Calms their nervous system. And I need to be able to say, shh, and give it a bit of time to calm down. And I don't know if, I'm sure I see a lot of grandparents here, so I know that you're quite used to dealing with children who have lost the plot, right? What you'll notice when a kid is calming down is the first thing they do is they go, and it takes them a bit of time to stop crying. The same with us. When I go into panic and I'm here and I want to get my feeling brain back, I want my amygdala to calm down and my frontal cortex, my thinking brain to come back. It's going to take me time. And I need to learn, right, how to get my system moving and be patient with it. So there are a couple things that we can do to calm our systems down. The first thing I want you to know, if you're anxious or panicking a lot, is that action is the opposite of helplessness. Okay, get moving. If you feel better baking cakes, go bake. If you want to take part in the million collections that are going on all over Ranana, take part. If you've got kids or grandkids at home and they're just climbing the walls and going crazy because they're worried and anxious, get them baking, get them drawing pictures. Or if you're as lousy mom as I'm being right now, give them YouTube and a little bit of like Netflix. They won't die for a few weeks of a little bit more screen, right? But just get them moving and doing. That's the healthiest thing that we can do for ourselves and each other. Action is the opposite of helplessness. The second thing that we can do to start to really actually calm panic down is a thing called emotion aid. I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. I can't share my screen. Okay. Am I allowed to have,
Is it help?
could you give me share screening capability and I'll share it? And if not, I'll do it without it. It doesn't matter. Is that possible?
Just a moment.
There we go. There we go. I got it. I got it. Okay. Sorry, I've got 5 million things open on my computer here. Let me close some of them. Okay. This is called emotion aid. So the very, very first thing that I could do, that you want to do, it's a little bit funky on Zoom because you can't really see me, so bear with me, is I want you to teach yourselves, if you're really panicking or one of your kids are really panicking, to quite literally just cross their arms like this. Now, the reason why you're crossing your arms is because remember that system of nerves I just told you about? You want to be holding and calming those nerves down. And you literally get them to just cross their arms, hold it like this, and they can even just start tapping. You know, I make my kids tap and count, just 1, 2, 3, 4. I promise I'm not making this up. I do work with Hatsala, and when I go on psychotrauma calls, if I've had, you know, if I see somebody and they're after a car accident and they're, you know, all over the place, I get them to sit with me, look at me, cross your arms, tap and count. It sounds like magic or nonsense. I'm telling you it works. The other thing you do, you can't see my feet, is that step 2, you would put your feet hard and down into the floor and push. So I'm tapping and counting and I'm feeling the floor, okay? The third thing that I would do, once I've tapped and counted and push it on the floor, is you may put your hand on your chest and one on your tummy, okay? I don't know if you can see me. I'm not going to start flashing on the Zoom, thanks, okay? But like if I've got my hand on my chest and on my stomach, remember that system of nerves? I'm holding it. So I want to just feel into my body and breathe. Hands on heart, hand on stomach, right? Our hearts and our stomachs are places that physically affect panic and anxiety. So we really want to just hold on to them. And then I'm going to do this really interesting thing. You get to just breathe and notice what is happening in my body. Okay, so I already notice when I hear the sounds, my heart starts racing. Or you may notice your palms get sweaty, or that you get like a funny feeling just at the back of your neck there. Or you've got a pain in your chest and you just want to quite literally, I call it, you go sensation by sensation. So you've got your hand on here and you're breathing. And I go, oh, there's my racing heart. And I sit almost with my eyes closed with my racing heart until I catch a breath. And I may sit with my, you know, I'm super ADD and have lots of energy. So I often notice my feet are going crazy and I'll sit with my crazy feet until they calm down. And I've done this with 5-year-olds and I've done this with 70-year-olds. It works with every age and every stage. Hand on heart, hand on stomach, and just notice every sensation. You may have 2 sensations. You may have 20 sensations. Who cares? Some of us have active bodies. Some of us are a bit more slouchy. It doesn't matter. But you go sensation by sensation, and you just wait for the breath. And our breath does this amazing thing. Remember, I said to you this, brain, our bodies know how to calm themselves down, and they know how to heal themselves, even in traumatic times. At this point, you're able to say to yourself, it's here, it's now, I'm okay. And once you've gone sensation by sensation and breathe through your body, you can do the final step, which is basically where we go from helplessness to action, right? You can start to think of something amazing. So maybe you just think about the beach and you notice what that feels like in your body. Maybe you think about, God, I'm a rock star. Look how I just calmed my nervous system down. And you notice that feeling. Maybe you think about one of your grandchildren, you know, who's just beautiful and wonderful to you, and that's your resource. Maybe you think about ice cream. Who cares, right? Anything that feels like, oh, I like that, you're going to just put your attention to. And we're slowly training ourselves how to discharge from panic and craziness and go into an integrated person who can get on with their day. Anybody can do this. You don't need to be a therapist. Emotional aid is something that we teach to people all over the country. I've done it with people in elevators. I've done it with people in my office. And I can hand out this flyer to you guys and you can just do it on your own. It's perfectly easy. But once you understand that all panic is that I went from here to here, that's perfect. That means your brain and your body is working as it should, and it is responding normally to abnormal situations. And now, great, this is not a high functioning place to be. I want to get back here. It's going to take me a bit of time. And that crazy woman, Liza, just gave me some exercises to do. Beautiful. The other thing I want to tell you quickly that we could also do with children is you can validate their feelings and yourself. We can say, sometimes I'll say to kids on a scale of 0 to 10, how big is the scared? And they'll say, oh, Emma, it's a 25. I was like, okay, you've got a 25 of scared. They're not even going to give me a 10. Okay. So, well, what can we do to get it down to a 20? Or if it's a 10 scared, what can we do to get it down to an 8? And remember I said to you, when we're in stress, our imaginations are amazing. So sometimes we might be imagining what's happening to our kids in Gaza, what's happening to our Chaylim, what's happening to, the poor people who have been kidnapped, and we're imagining terrible things. We can also imagine wonderful things. So when my worry or my anxiety is at a 0 or a 10, and I'm very, very, very scared, we can start to ask kids or ask ourselves, let our wonderful imaginations come to work. What could I do to move it down the scale just a little bit? So maybe you could pet a dog. Maybe you want to go for a walk. Maybe you want to draw a picture. Maybe you like to listen to music or bake. Anything that you like to do to bring the worry down or the anxiety down from a 10 to a little bit lower. Because remember, even if I move just a little bit, action is the opposite of helplessness. So right now, while we're still in this situation, we want to remember that we know how to do things, that we're strong, we're capable, we can manage, we can get involved, we can get creative. And all of that helps us bring ourselves back to ourselves. So panic and anxiety, don't panic about panic, okay? All it means is that you have a wonderful brain and a wonderful body, and it's doing exactly what it needs to do to keep you safe. And I think I'll stop there.